In this video we're talking about the Fujifilm X-T3. My hands-on review after 2 years of use, and is it worth it getting one in 2021? Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Florian, good to see you. It was a bit quiet around me the last 2 weeks. I took some time off work and my birthday was last week as well, so I got 31, so I took some time off YouTube, social media a bit. And I'm back now with more content for you guys. So if you are back and you watch my content again, guys, I would appreciate if you could like, comment and subscribe. Also head over to my Instagram, where I post more regularly throughout the week, and you can see also more behind the scenes, more gear stuff, etc. So guys, check out my social media, like, comment and subscribe. And today we're talking about the Fujifilm X-T3. More a hands-on approach rather than a technical review. We're talking quickly through the specs as well, and then at the end I'm gonna give you my conclusion, what I think, is it worth having one in 2021. Crop sensor camera, 26 million megapixel. The ISO ranges from 80 up to 51,200, whilst your lowest ISO is 80 and your base ISO for filming is 640. Weather resistant alloy body and dual card slot, and can also shoot 30 frames burst mode, 4K up to 60 frames per second and 120 frames per second in slow motion. Overall, a very decent, good camera. Dual card slot, definitely an advantage. You can swap it up if you want. You can shoot one card slot JPEGs, one card slot RAW, one video, one images. You literally can mix it up how you want it and how you need it. Or you have basically one card filling up, the second one is backup, or both shooting at the same time, the same image. There are a couple of ways you can program your card slots as well. The Fujifilm X-T3 is capable of shooting up to 30 frames per second. However, you need the additional battery grip for it, which enables the camera to shoot up to 30 frames per second. The sensor image quality, 26 million megapixel, is plenty of resolution, is second to none on quality. And for most of us, to be quite frankly, 26 million megapixel are more than enough. If you think about the Sony a7S Mark III, which is mainly for filming, but this one shoots just 12 megapixels. So if you are into photography and you're doing a lot of, let's say, portrait, landscape, I still think that 26 million megapixel on a Fujifilm X-T3 is more than enough, and potentially more than a lot of people need in nowadays. A lot of images get uploaded to social media, which crops the quality of your image down anyway. So 26 million megapixel is more than enough for the average use, even for portrait shoots, landscape, as I mentioned, street photography. It's plenty of resolution and you get a quality out of this sensor which is second to none, and still second to none in 2021. The autofocus of the Fujifilm X-T3 is very speedy, and I didn't struggle many times to find my focus or to hit my focus. And after Fujifilm brought out recently a software update to improve the autofocus on a Fujifilm X-T3, the X-T3 is a smashing camera. This means basically your X-T3 is on the same level now like an X-T4 with the autofocus system. And to be quite frankly, guys, I can't complain. I didn't struggle to hit focus with it. I didn't struggle to find my focus. Yes, of course, there will be situations where you might struggle a bit, or the camera just hunts a bit until it finds focus. But this can happen with every single brand, every single camera. Generally speaking, the autofocus from a Fujifilm X-T3 is very speedy and pretty good. Let's talk about the video specs of X-T3. The X-T3 shoots 4K up to 30 frames per second. Yes, I mentioned the X-T3 can shoot 4K 60 frames per second. But keep in mind guys, yes you can shoot 4K 60 frames per second, but you get an additional crop on top, or when you shoot 4K 60 frames per second. So you're shooting already a crop sensor camera, and then you have additional crop times 1.18 if you shoot 4K 60 frames per second. Keep this in mind guys, you potentially need to make a step back to frame whatever you want to film correctly in this moment. Also, you can record 10-bit internally 420 and externally 10-bit 422. And having a camera which is already 2 years old and can record already internally to the SD card 10-bit is absolutely fantastic. And personally, I think the image quality you get out of this 10-bit footage is fantastic. You get a lot of dynamic range, you get a lot of details in the shadows, and the files itself are very capable of editing or of color grading, and you can push the files quite a bit. You also can shoot internally cinema 4K in a ratio of 17:9, up to 60 frames per second as well. However guys, keep in mind again, you will have your additional crop of 1.18 on top of your normal crop sensor as well. And that's absolutely fantastic. You can shoot 4K already with the Fujifilm X-T3, and then they're giving you a higher resolution on top of 4K, which is great. Unfortunately, it is only 17:9 the ratio, so you can't shoot 16:9, but whoever needs it can use it on an X-T3. I was always happy with 4K 16:9, and this is a resolution which I prefer currently. Let's touch on slow motion. The X-T3 is capable of shooting up to 120 frames per second. However, the resolution will be full HD rather 4K, but personal use, and I think that having 120 frames per second in full HD is absolutely fine, and I never had any need to shoot higher slow motion in a higher resolution at the moment. However, this might change in the future when I say, okay, I would like to shoot 120 frames per second in 4K, but then we're gonna see if I can afford this guys, and what I'm gonna do when I really perhaps might need this. But currently shooting 120 frames per second in full HD for slow motion is absolutely enough for me. I can shoot 240 frames per second in full HD on an XS10 if I need to, but generally speaking, I think that the majority of people, or most of you guys, would be more than happy with the 120 frames per second in full HD quality you get out of this camera. One thing I definitely recommend getting, if you own an X-T3, get a battery grip guys. First of all, you get 2 more batteries in your setup, which enables you just to shoot longer. Besides from that, it is very comfy to hold and is a pleasure to use. Having a bigger, deeper grip on your X-T3 is definitely fantastic. But the main reason why you want to get a battery grip for the X-T3 is it enables you to use the whole features of the X-T3. This means you can shoot your 30 frames per second burst mode if you want to. You can switch your boost mode or your battery usage from normal to boost and can shoot 30 frames per second burst mode. Your battery life just extends. Your single battery is rated to 325 shots. So having 3 of them gives you around 1,000 still images at least. Of course, it depends how you use your camera. Do you switch your camera off when you don't use it? Do you keep it always on when you walk around? How do you use your camera? That's also very important, and then you potentially get even like another 200 shots out of it. Let's say you go out, you shoot, or you sit down and you don't use your camera. You probably switch your camera off, which will extend your battery life as well. So my conclusion about the Fujifilm X-T3 after 2 years of use, my hands-on review, however you want to call it guys, I'm very happy with the Fujifilm X-T3. And I do think that it's still worth buying in 2021. Also right now after the price dropped and it's cheaper than the XS10 and the X-T4. There's been one occasion, as I mentioned, where the camera died on me and just froze down, and I have no idea why. But generally speaking, the images I got out of Fujifilm X-T3 and how I use the X-T3 definitely satisfied me over the last 2 years. And I definitely would say it's still worth getting in 2021. Even if you think about like the Fujifilm XS10 with IBIS costs around £950, the Fujifilm X-T4 costs almost 2 grand. And comparing the X-T3 to the X-T4, you almost get an identical camera just for cheaper money. The X-T3 doesn't got the IBIS and can't shoot 240 frames per second, but quite frankly, do we always need 240 frames per second? Probably not really. Do we need always IBIS? I think if you're a still image shooter doing a lot of landscape, street photography, portrait, and perhaps product photography, you probably don't need any IBIS because your shutter speed will always be high enough to compromise or balance the IBIS situation out. If you vlog more and you film more, then probably the XS10 might be the camera of choice for you because of you looking for the IBIS when you're around and you're filming or you're vlogging. So simple, are you still image shooter? Go with the X-T3 and you will be very happy with it. If you're looking for more filming or vlogging, potentially look into the XS10 or the X-T4. Whilst I think the XS10 for vlogging would be a better option also for the money price. In this case, I still keep using my X-T3 and I'm not looking to replace this one very soon. I'm very happy with it and I still keep using it for portrait shoots or whatever subject I want to shoot. So guys, with that said, that's it for today and I hope you liked this video. And if you do, like, comment and subscribe and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Cheers guys.